Hello, everyone, and welcome to a brand new episode of That Star Trek Podcast, your place for a detailed analysis and speculation of all things Trek. My name is Sean Ray, and somebody recently asked me, how many Cardassian prisoners does it take to change a light bulb? And I said they don't change it because they're too busy arguing about how many there are.
Okay.
Joining me tonight in the historic Infinite Potato Studio, we have the host of Starbase 66 and the seventh Chevron. The seventh Chevron?
Not anymore.
Yeah, you changed it. let me re-edit that. What? Let me edit that. Joining me in the Infinite Potatoes Studio is the host of Starbase 66. We have Rick.
Hi.
Also with us is the current host of The Prime Direction and Infinite Potato Alliance contributor, Scott. How's it going, sir?
If you're going to sing while cleaning the bathroom, don't use the toilet brush as the microphone.
No, yeah, don't do that.
That's a good wisdom.
And rounding out our panel tonight is another of the personalities usually found on Starbase 66. Jen, how are you?
Doing all right, even though my camera's not working.
She's a ghost.
Do you light a candle?
Do not light that damn candle.
Did I light that candle?
Tonight we're taking a break from our usual time travel, the usual time travel retrospective that we've been doing, and next week you'll be able to hear myself and Scott and Tom talking about Star Trek 4. Tonight we're going to talk about some of the Star Trek announcements that have come out.
Another show without me?
Yeah, that was the night that you were doing your play. We recorded 2 episodes, and that was one of them.
So you did the only 2 time travel shows I like. You did without me. All right, fine.
I put out a schedule. And we've gone by the schedule. All right. But before we do that, I want to mention our new Patreon page. It went live last week, and I've uploaded the first show that was made exclusively for our patrons. If you want to help us meet the costs of running this network, then Patreon is a great way to do it. It costs nearly nothing. It's just $3 a month, and you get access to all the bonus content that we make. And this week we released a discussion about Kingdom of the Spiders from 1977, starring William Shatner.
We watched it, so you won't have to.
Yeah. But you can if you want. And for a little bit more than that, you can get some extra perks. I want to thank Tom Corcoran for his new membership. He joins us at the $10 level, so he gets access to all of our bonus material. He's also going to be included in our Slack group, so he can take part in the behind the scenes discussions that we have, and he also gets listed as a producer of a couple of the podcasts. So thank you very much, Tom. We appreciate what you do to help us be the best
close to
that
the
we can be.
Come wash your car level.
Just a couple more bucks a month. Rick will come out there and wash your car shirtless.
Oh gosh, no.
No. Hey, I just got that crap from my kid. I don't need it from you guys too.
Oh.
All right, so April 5th was this past week, and in the Star Trek universe, that's First Contact Day. If you don't know, but if you're a Star Trek fan, you know that in Star Trek First Contact, that was the day that the Vulcans introduced themselves to humans. Initially, a century or so later, it's also the day that the Synths attacked the Utopia Planitia shipyard on Mars. So Star Trek has embraced that date as a good day to release news and related items that have to do with their upcoming Star Trek properties. It's sort of what May the 4th is for Star Wars. So let's start with let's start with Star Trek Prodigy. That's because when these news stories started coming out, I actually didn't watch any of the panels, but I read the stories when they released of what was said in the panels, and this was the first one that popped up in my feed. So there was a lot of virtual panels this week, and this one had Kevin and Dan Hageman, who are the showrunners for Prodigy, and they released some news. They said that the show is going to take place in 2383, which is 5 years after the Voyager finale. So this is roughly the same time period as Lower Decks, because I think Lower Decks is supposed to be like 5 or 6 years after Nemesis. So it's roughly the same time.
Yeah.
So and it also, this takes place in the Delta Quadrant. Now they didn't say if Wikipedia's got the plot of the show as a bunch of kids get in a derelict vessel and take off on an adventure. Now they don't say whether they go to the Delta Quadrant on purpose or if they just get transported there the way the Voyager did or something like that. It would be kind of interesting if they kind of do a you guys know that movie Space Camp. I know you've seen the movie Space Camp. So it'd be kind of interesting if they did something like that and then they get transported somewhere where nobody can save them and now they're stuck out there by themselves, you know. So but the cat's here.
Yeah, my cat's here. My cat says hi.
I thought it was mine. Jesus.
But they also said, we knew Kate Mulgrew was going to be on the show as Captain Janeway, but they said that she's not actually Captain Janeway. She's the training simulator on the ship. She's a hologram.
Okay.
So I don't know if that means that she's as a hologram, a training simulator. None of these kids are really, they're not officers. So I guess the training simulator is kind of in charge. So she may still be the captain of the ship, even though she's not really Janeway and she's a hologram or whatever. But
I think she's going to be more like the face of the computer. I mean, the kids are going to be, from what I've gathered, it's going to be, you know, kids find derelict ship, start screwing with it, and suddenly it's going, and then they stumble across this training simulator. I don't think she's going to be the captain so much as, you know, maybe because this is aimed at kids, you know, maybe she's going to be like the Miss Frizzle of the show.
That sounds about right.
You know, I don't think she's going to be in command so much as, you know, oh my goodness,
I'm back. Sorry.
You know, hologram Janeway, we're heading towards a star. What do we do? And,
yeah,
well, boys, what you need to do is hit this button. And
there's coffee in that nebula.
What's most important is that you function as a team.
The funny thing is that go back and listen to our review of Assignment Earth that we did a few weeks ago, and Seth was on that episode, and we kind of talked a little bit about Prodigy at the beginning of the episode, what little bit of news had come out, and he kind of said this. He said that there's a theory going around out there that she's going to be integrated somehow into the computer, and she's going to be a hologram. So, and that's what they said. So, hey, that Star Trek podcast was on top of it, folks.
I mean, I always just assumed she would be, you know, like they would contact her via subspace or something like that. I never imagined that she would actually be on the ship.
And see, I thought that she was going to be the one that was assigned with going to find them and bringing them back. So that was my assumption of what her role was going to be, but it's not. And they re-released that same picture that they put out before of all the alien kids all lined up there, but this time she's standing right in the middle of them. So, I mean, they're all in the exact same poses. It's just she's right there in front. So, which if this is aimed at kids, you know, most of the kids, they don't know who she is.
Yeah, probably not.
Voyager is something that their parents watched 15 years ago or something like that. Comes on Netflix every now and then. But so that's going to be airing on Paramount Plus later this year. There's not any word on when it's going to be airing in the UK. So I don't know if the UK is going to have to wait for it to drop on Nickelodeon. I don't even know if does the UK even have Nickelodeon? I don't know.
I have no idea.
Yeah. So
they probably call it something else, like Spotted Dick Coyote or something.
I'm thinking
I love you guys.
Racist.
I'm thinking that when it airs on Paramount Plus, the UK, you guys are probably gonna not get it at that same time. So my plan, I want to cover this for the podcast, but I don't want to not put anything out there for the UK listeners. So what I'm thinking we'll do is when we record, it's going to be like a 20-minute show every week. So we'll do like maybe a 30-minute podcast to talk about what happened, but we'll also keep doing our time travel retrospective.
We'll do it in Pig Latin.
And and things like that, but we'll do them as separate episodes so that you can download the one that you want to listen to, so you don't have to download something that's going to have spoilers that you're not going to get to see for a couple months or whatever. So so there you go.
You know what we could do, granted this is a little bit of a behind the scenes on the air kind of stuff, maybe we could like wait and every other week do 2 episodes. Since they're only 20 minutes long, we do one show that covers 2.
We could do that. Yeah, I don't see why not.
Who wants to take bets that at some point in the first season of Prodigy, Hologram Janeway is going to show up? Like, say they're under attack or someone's trying to board the ship, and Hologram Janeway is going to pop in wearing a tank top and a backpack and a big phaser rifle.
I think not.
Probably no.
That Commando Janeway from whatever episode, I can't remember the name of it. That's an iconic image. People love it.
I would love to see that, but I think that for a kids show, I think they're going to steer away from badass Janeway with old Betsy going after viruses and Kazon and.
No, well, it'll be like just for one shot, she'll pop in and say, "Okay, I'm ready. Let's go." They're gonna say, "No, let's not do that. Let's like do science things instead." Good idea. And she's off and back again in uniform. It'll just a quick joke as a visual reference for the people who like that episode. I'm expecting jokes like that, specifically that among them.
I'm hoping that
I will send you a beer.
I'm hoping that with it being Janeway and with them going back into the Delta Quadrant, that they don't retread stuff. I don't want to see the Kazon again. I really don't. And I don't want to see what was the name of the aliens that stole people's body parts and stuff?
Oh, who had to fade?
We're not going to see the Vidians on a kid's show.
Yeah.
Okay, just keep in mind, this show is specifically aimed at children. This isn't like a show kids could enjoy too. This is a show for children. The whole idea of this show is to appeal to, 5 to 9-year-olds or whatever. So
you think it's going to be that young? I was thinking teenagers. Okay.
No, they've been saying that's why it's going to Nickelodeon. This is not, this is not like Lower Decks Light. This is a show aimed at young kids. So I think that we need to keep that in mind when watching it.
Oh yeah.
I think that this is going to be like the animated series, only not quite so much. Yeah, you're right. Am I on the right? Because I can barely hear myself.
Now we can hear you.
Much better.
Yeah.
Let me check.
Instantly better.
Much better.
You were just leaning back too far.
Yeah, I'm on the right microphone. Okay. I guess maybe I had it too far away.
All right. Anybody else want to add anything else about Prodigy before we move on to something else?
I'm pretty much with Rick on that. It's definitely going to be aimed at the younger viewers, though. I imagine it to be somewhat like Lower Decks, but flipped around, where Lower Decks is meant for Star Trek fans, but it has that animated. It is animated, which makes it seem a bit more kid friendly, even though it isn't necessarily that. Prodigy is going to be animated. It's going to be aimed at children, but they're going to have enough references, and probably just the general style of it is going to be designed in such a way that adult Star Trek fans can watch it and enjoy it. But obviously they won't be enjoying it as much as kids who are into the show, whether the kids like Star Trek or not.
Yeah, what Scott said.
All right. the other okay, so another one was Star Trek Discovery season 4 had a trailer.
Gotta hate that show.
Came out.
What?
Now the only things that we know for sure by watching this trailer is that they have newish uniforms. They still look kind of like that gray uniform that they had, but now they're color coded. So they've got the red and they got the gold. And
yeah, they
recolored
the uniforms from last season.
Yeah, which those I was kind of thinking about this. Those uniforms, maybe the gray ones are just what they wear on like space stations and stuff, and this is what they wear when like on ships. I don't know. It just I don't know how much time is supposed to have passed, so it seems kind of weird if it's just a couple of weeks. It's like, oh, by the way, we're all wearing new uniforms now. But it could be for all we know, this might be 5 years later. I don't know.
Well, Starfleet does have a habit ever since the 24th century. They change their uniforms like they can't go a decade without changing their uniforms.
Right.
They had from the Wrath of Khan up through Picard's previous assignment before coming on board the Enterprise. They had the same uniform that entire time, almost a century of the Maroon Monster.
Mm-hmm.
And then they just start rifling through, like dealing cards, bang, bang, bang. New uniforms every couple of years.
If you remember in yesterday's Enterprise, they had the over tunic of the Maroon Monster, but they had lost the undershirt.
True, that is a change. I don't consider it enough of a change to really call it a new uniform. They just changed the undershirts. They didn't have the mock turtleneck. They had, a T-shirt, which I'll be the first one to say that the uniforms looked a lot better in the movies than they did in the era of the Enterprise C. When they don't have that shirt collar popping up over the jacket, it looks bad. That looks bad. You need that extra collar that gives it more form and fit. Picard was wearing the same thing, and Jack Crusher was wearing the same thing when you saw him on the holodeck.
True.
It stopped at the jacket, and I did not think that was a good look. But still, essentially the same uniform, just one.
I didn't mind that uniform. I've always thought that uniform was a little too dressy to be just like your everyday work clothes. Especially if you've got a job like in engineering or sick bay or something where you're doing more than just sitting in front of a computer console all day.
Well, I know that's why Scotty had his own jacket. You remember his jacket that he wore when he was in engineering?
Scotty had his vest and the white shirt, and everyone on his team, they all had they didn't wear the Maroon Monster. They all had a separate uniform for engineering.
That's true. Mm-hmm. Yeah. They also revealed that the main threat is a gravitational anomaly that is, Stamets says it's 5 light years across, which is roughly 30 trillion miles.
They revealed that a threat is a gravitational anomaly.
That's the threat that they showed in the trailer. I mean, we could get another trailer that'll show something else. We don't know much more about it. We don't know if maybe it's actually a life form. Maybe somebody's causing it. We don't know. It's a trailer, so. It did show that it does a lot of destruction because they showed a lot of fire and a lot of stuff going on the ship there.
Mm-hmm. So, it's the crystalline entity, but bigger.
Yeah, it's bad. And they also they showed a woman shaking hands with the president of Navarre, which everybody's speculating that's the Federation president.
Mm-hmm.
She looks like she may have Cardassian ancestry. If you look at her face, she's got ridges, kind of like Cardassian ridges, but she's not full on spoon head alligator neck. Kind of.
That's racist.
I didn't get a chance to go back and take another closer look at it, but from the review videos that I was watching, excuse me, people are pegging her as a Denobulan.
Could be. Yeah, it could be. I can see that.
I didn't look that closely.
Yeah. And also Grudge is back.
Here's my hot take for the episode. I don't understand the big deal about Grudge. Cats are great. I love cats and I like Grudge. But I don't understand what the big deal is. It's a cat.
Yeah, I only say it because everybody always points out,
she's a queen.
Grudge is a queen. Grudge is a queen.
Mm-hmm.
It's like,
Can I point out that Porthos got as much attention when Enterprise was on.
And
I will take your word for it because I didn't catch the attention to Porthos. I thought, oh look, it's Porthos.
Yeah, and there were like 3 different cats who played Spot. So
yeah, I know Porthos. So Archer didn't let him have cheese. So I mean, that's all I really remember about Porthos. Except there was an episode where he had to be in sick bay and Archer slept in the floor next to him or something like that. So he's a little attached to that beagle. The Qowat Milat are back, and they give Michael and Tilly a sword in the trailer. So I don't know if that means that Michael and Tilly are joining the Qowat Milat, or, but it also means, I guess,
gave them a sword.
I guess that their mission is a lost cause if they're there. So
yeah, I'm assuming that the two of them are hooking up for like a singular mission with the Qowat Milat, so they get swords for that. But I doubt that they're going to get drafted into the order.
Yeah,
on a permanent basis.
A temporary. They're getting a temporary assignment with the Qowat Milat or something. But this season's
team building retreat.
This season is expected to come out this year, so we're actually expecting before the end of this year we're going to have Discovery season 4. We're also going to have Lower Decks, and we're going to have Star Trek Prodigy. I don't know if they're going to show any of that at the same time. I'm kind of thinking that they'll start and just go back to back to back.
Well, that's
Lower Decks
what they did before.
10 episodes. Yeah, Lower Decks is going to be 10 episodes. I don't know how many episodes Discovery is, but it's usually 14. So maybe. And then I know that Prodigy is 10 episodes. So that's 34 weeks right there. They would have to have already started if they wanted to do it all back to back to back. They're going to have to do. Well, there's going to be a little overlapping here, I think.
They're not saying it's going to be done in this year. They're saying it's going to start.
It's going to start this year.
Yeah,
true. There's also still 8 months of this year to go.
Yeah. And Discovery does usually start in the fall and usually ends sometime in January or February. So.
And if we're going to be looking at the schedule for the release of episodes, they will probably, like they did before, it'll be say Lower Decks. Let's assume that they just start Lower Decks first, just because. So they'll air Lower Decks once a week until that season is done, and then the following week they will begin season 4 of Discovery. They'll start airing that once a week. Whereas Prodigy is not going to be on Paramount Plus. Well, I assume it'll be on Paramount Plus.
Yeah, it's going to be on Paramount Plus first, and then it's going to go to Paramount Plus, Nickelodeon later,
and then it'll go to Nickelodeon.
Okay, so all right, they're waiting before they put it on Nick.
Yeah,
then I'll shut
up. So Lower Decks is supposed to return on August the 12th, and we have a teaser trailer. They don't have like a full trailer yet. It's a teaser trailer, and it looks like it's just about as banana pants as season 1 was.
Yeah,
we might be getting a little more Frakes action since Boimler is now assigned to the Titan. At least for now.
About it. There's no might about it. He's
in the trailer.
That show.
He's in the trailer, but I don't know. You know how TV is. They'll start out on the Titan, and then by the end of episode 1, he's back on the.
Well, no. Last year, after Boimler went to the Titan, Frakes said, "Yes, I'm on the next season of Lower Decks."
Yeah, but he didn't say he's going to be.
Episode, and then
we know he's going to be there.
How much of him? Yeah,
how many? Yeah, that's the point.
They didn't specify one episode, but I will not be at all surprised if it's one episode where Boimler's on the Titan. By the end of that episode, he's back on the Cerritos.
Yeah, you make it like, I don't want to be here. I want to be with. Yeah.
There was I meant to write it down, but they've got Riker still. He's like an exaggeration of Riker. He's like a parody of Riker, but he's all of his jokes are jazz jokes still. He's like, I know Riker liked jazz, but Riker didn't talk about jazz nonstop on TNG.
Now the surprising thing is that, as far as I know, Marina Sirtis is not going to be on Lower Decks, so it's just going to be Riker this time.
Yeah, I mean, that could be. I know that she she had some personal stuff happen over the last year or so, and she's left the U.S. She doesn't live in the U.S. anymore. She moved back to England in the last couple of months. Which, I mean, no, that doesn't affect. She can still be on TV or whatever. But
well, and you know, animation, you know, it's just voice, and you can do that from anywhere.
Yeah. And it's not like she hasn't done other voice acting.
Yeah, I'm just saying she's got a lot of stuff going on right now. She may not have put time in her schedule for that.
Yeah.
So I'm expecting, which they didn't say anything about this. I'm expecting more guest voices of people that we know from Star Trek. I think that a lot of the actors from Star Trek shows are probably itching to participate in Lower Decks in some fashion, even if it's just a scene or two, like John Delancey when he just did like one scene for one episode. I'm expecting to see some more of that. I'm really surprised that Patrick Stewart hasn't done it yet, because Patrick Stewart loves this kind of stuff.
Oh yeah.
You know, he's been on Family Guy like 50 times.
He's on American Dad as a primary cast member. So.
Yeah.
Well, they probably haven't come up with a good way to get him in yet, or you know, there's a lot. You know, even though it's all Paramount, there's still contracts and paychecks and stuff. And they may not be able to afford him.
Yeah, there's that.
Yeah, sure. They should have put in his Picard contract. Well, you have to do at least 3 episodes of Lower Decks.
I somehow think he was pretty much the main architect of his contract.
Right.
Let's watch and find out that he's going to end up being the voice of the Mugato.
All right, so they released a trailer for Star Trek Picard, and I was really kind of disappointed in it because there wasn't like any kind of a big reveal or anything.
Well, okay, they've already
Get
said
to your room, young man.
Oh, come on, man. No, well, they'd already announced that Guinan was going to be on season 2, so we already knew about that. And then this showed Q's back.
Yeah. So go ahead, Rick.
My only regret about that was I didn't realize all of the panels that were going on for First Contact Day. And I was just kind of cruising through YouTube, and I saw an interview, you know, Will Wheaton talking to Patrick Stewart and John Delancey, and the title of the thing was John Delancey talking about returning as Q, and I'm like, what? And so I watched the interview, and they're talking about it like this is a fait accompli, and I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? And then I saw the trailer, and I was like, oh. I wish I had seen the trailer first.
Yeah, I really lucked out in that I just started stumbling across things in my Facebook feed, and I saw. I think the first one I came across was for Picard. And I said, "Oh my goodness, is this like some sort of fan-made thing?" And
nope.
it started auto playing in the background with no audio, so I could see the closed captioning, and it was no words that it wasn't dialogue that I recognized. So I said, "Oh my god, this is new." So I open it, I back it up, I turn on the sound, I make it full screen, and I just hold the phone right up here, right in front of my face. And I'm watching the whole thing, and I'm listening to him, and I'm seeing all the images. I'm not really taking in the images that they're putting up because I'm listening to what he's saying. And my head is already starting to race with, what could they do in season 2? And then you see the deck of cards on the, I think it's on a chessboard, with the queen there. And like most people, I'm sure, I immediately flash back to the first season with the playing cards and the queens that Data had in that first scene. I said, okay, so they're tying it back. It was the card game he was playing in the dream at the beginning, and then the cards started fading away. And I said, oh, okay, so they're gonna do a crossover with Star Trek and the Avengers. Okay, this is wonderful. Good. Excellent. So someone snapped the Federation away or something, and then the card stops vaporizing. Oh my god. And then it changes from the Q on the card to the gold Q in the background, and then you hear that voice in tone.
Yeah.
And I just had a great big grin across my face.
Yeah. And he says the trial The trial never ends. Hey, is there somebody that's not using earbuds, or have you got your earbuds too close to the mic? Because I'm getting an echo. Every time I talk, I get an echo.
I think something's up with my audio here. I mean, my speaker is down, but I'm barely hearing myself through my headphone amplifier.
Testing. I think it's gone. Gone now.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, he says the trial never ends, and I may have peed a little. But when the trailer first started, even before any of the Q stuff popped up, we see his study. You know, the camera's kind of going through his study, and he keeps talking about time. You know, so immediately I'm like, well, this season's going to be time travel. Well, that's good because we're doing time travel on the podcast. That's awesome. And he says the true final frontier is time. Time can turn even our most impulsive, our most ill-considered actions into history. Time offers so many opportunities, but never second chances. And the hourglass is going backwards and all that. And then we hear that voice of Q saying the trial never ends, which is what he told him in All Good Things.
Right.
So I guess humanity is still on trial all these years later. Now, John Delancey was interviewed by Variety, and he said that they asked him if, you know, how he felt about coming back. And he said, I was kind of weird about it at first because Q's supposed to be immortal and I'm obviously not. You know, I'm 25 years older than I was the last time I appeared as Q. And he didn't give away anything, but they explained things to him and he was fine with it after that. I'm kind of thinking, you know, Q always copies Picard. Q always shows up in Picard's uniform and that kind of thing. So if Picard's going to be older, I'd almost like to see Q show up. Maybe they could do like a de-aging thing on him. Q shows up looking the way he did before, and then he sees Picard and says, "Oh, wait a minute," and then he snaps his fingers.
I really think that's what he's going to do. He's probably going to show up looking like he always did, and then update it. And I'm pretty sure it's the interview that Rick was talking about with Will Wheaton talking to Stewart and Delancey, and he indicated that you know, Q would be changing the way he looks to accommodate Picard. So Picard is older. Q is going to let himself look older for that reason.
I loved in that interview that, you know, I've watched all of Wheaton's Ready Rooms, and every time he's talked to somebody that was on Picard, he always asked them, was it hard to get back into character after not playing that character? And they're always like, oh yeah, it scared the crap out of me. And Delancey was like, no.
Of course not.
Yeah, the only thing John Delancey always says that with Q and with some of the other parts that he's played in the past, they always want him to play these characters that are like wordsmiths and stuff. And he said, I'm not that. You know, I'm dyslexic. I have a hard time learning my lines, you know, so I have to work twice as hard just to give an average performance. I have to work 3 times as hard to be Q, you know, the way that he talks, you know, and stuff. So, and you know, also, go ahead.
Something funny, just coincidentally, on Open the Iris, we are just now getting to the John Delancey episodes of Stargate.
Oh, really? Well, you know, Guinan and Q have history.
Yep.
So it's going to be interesting that both of them. I heard somebody talking about this and say it would be funny if they show up and Guinan and Q have been married and now they're divorced.
No.
Like bitter enemies that finally gave in to their urges.
Well, on one of the Star Trek groups I'm on Facebook, somebody was asking if there was some significance to the time that's on the clock, which is 10:04. And I thought I was being really clever when I thought it was 10:04 because Guy is going to be on this. But then I found out 10:04 is also the time from Back to the Future when the clock stopped.
Yeah, true.
Now, did anyone? I'm eager to talk about some of the other Easter eggs that they planted in this little teaser. Anyone else pick up on any of them?
I don't know.
A lot less vague than that.
Yeah.
Well, and these aren't necessarily indicators of where Picard's going to go in time, because I assume he's going to be visiting different eras, rather like Q did for him in the episode Tapestry. I'm thinking it's going to be something similar, with Q helping Picard to travel to different points through time for reasons we'll figure out as the season begins. But you
God, if they send him back to the Enterprise, I am going to pee.
I have to believe that we're going to see the Enterprise D again in this second season. And part of it, let's start with that Queen of Hearts. I think that is going to end up tying back to being an indication that Q has been involving himself in one way or another since the beginning of the first season, even if it's just by observation. Because if that Queen of Hearts turned into an indicator that Q is going to be in the season, and the Queen of Hearts is also what Data had in that dream, at least Q is probably peeking in on Picard's dreams. I think they're going to turn that into some sort of a connection, because everyone had their theories on why Data had a 5 of a kind of Queen of Hearts in that poker hand. I think they're going to say this was also part of it. I think that's going to tie in there. When we had the shot of Picard's study, and you see the clock, and you see his desk, and you see his chair, he still has the Mintakan tapestry that he got from Who Watches the Watchers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There's also a model of the Stargazer on the
Stargazer
one of the
is going to
tables.
play a big role based on.
Yeah, I can see that.
And the other thing was the Bajoran time tablet thingy.
That was the big one that I was gonna save that one for last, because there's a lot of possibilities tied up in that one. But as far as seeing the Stargazer, yes, I think that I think we're gonna see the Stargazer. I think he's gonna go back and be on the ship. And now, I didn't catch this myself. I got this from one of the videos that I was watching. But on the mantelpiece, there is a small statue of apparently what looks like a farmer behind, I think a cow, like plowing a field. So there's a plow animal and a farmer statue up on the mantelpiece. And I would not have made this connection, but whoever was writing for this video that I watched is one of the sharpest eyed Star Trek fans I've ever seen, because that statue showed up in Robert's house in the episode Brothers.
Oh, okay.
It was on their mantelpiece, and now it's on Picard's mantelpiece. So that's got me wondering, is he going to go back to Labar at some point?
Was that painting of the Enterprise that was over his fireplace, first of all, was that painting there in season 1? I don't remember it.
I don't think so. I don't.
Was that the same painting that was hanging in his ready room?
Yes.
On Star Trek? Okay.
Yes, which is a lot harder to find online in poster form than you would expect. I went looking for it about a month, 2 months ago, so I could put it up in the living room, and I cannot find a good one.
I'm wondering if some of these items, if he had them put away in that locker that we saw him go to, and
Possibly.
now he's got them back out.
Yeah.
Well, that Stargazer model that we saw in the teaser, he had that in his in his vault. We saw that pop up when he was in there.
Well,
now
also,
I want to point out
that everything that was in this teaser is actually physically in the show.
Right. We don't know if it's actually there.
It's a teaser. They're teasing us.
It's either stuff that he has in his study, whether it's the real study or if it's his holographic study on the La Sirena. Who knows?
Yeah.
But whether it's actually there or not, they're putting it in the teaser, which means there's a better than even chance that they might have laid out the entire season for us already in this teaser, and we just don't know it yet. Because every little visual aspect could be a hint, including the Bajoran stone tablet from the temple.
Or
I want to point out. Go ahead.
The cow statue could just be saying, "This is all bullshit."
Oh, sometimes it's just a cow.
A cigar is just a cigar. Now I want to point out that a few months ago, John Delancey did a video on Cameo that went viral where he was talking to whoever it was that ordered that Cameo video, and he said, "I'll give you a little piece of news. You're going to be seeing more of me." And I talked about that on the show, and everybody told me don't put too much into that. He was probably talking about when he was on Lower Decks.
Maybe.
And I said, no, well, I think there's more to it. We'll see.
Once again, you heard it here first.
You heard it here first.
Way back then. So,
Right.
so if we can take just another like 2 minutes and talk about that Bajoran tablet.
Do we ever talk for anything for 2 minutes?
Does anyone have any guesses, any theories about what it's doing there? Why would Picard
No.
have that? That thing that Cisco broke and that released a Pa Wraith, and now it's in Picard's study.
I had to be
Why?
told what that was because, I haven't. I had to be told what it was. Who knows? Maybe Q. I don't know. All right, here's my take on a lot of DS9. I love DS9. It's not my favorite show by any stretch. I don't think it's the best show of the franchise, and I know that that's kind of an unpopular opinion. There were aspects of DS9 that really bothered me in the Star Trek universe. One of them was Odo. I love Rene Auberjonois. I love the character of Odo. The concept of the Founders always, their shape-shifting always really got too close to magic for a show like Star Trek for me. And the other thing that did that was the whole wormholeians, to steal a term from
The Prophets.
Mission Log.
Yeah.
The Prophets.
The Prophets and the Pa Wraiths. That was more like Star Wars Babylon 5 kind of stuff than Star Trek for me. So I'm not thrilled with the thought of, if that's where they're going with Picard, I'll still enjoy it, I'm sure. And depending on how they deal with it. But if we're starting to go down the Bajoran metaphysical prophets, Pa Wraith stuff, I'm not sure I'm going to be thrilled with that.
Well, I'm still not thrilled that the first season of Picard was basically Mass Effect. Okay, I'm just saying.
Oh, that reminds me. We haven't started talking about the Discovery. Never mind. I'll hold on to that. Carry on.
Well, I mean, like a show that tried so hard to make itself, I want to use the phrase dark and gritty compared to TNG for season 1, to be bringing in, now they're bringing in a character like Q, which is magic. I mean, he's just a magic dude.
Yeah.
That was my next question, was going to be, are the prophets more or less magic than the omniscient continuum of Q?
You're not wrong.
And it's got me wondering.
I didn't like Q for the first few times he showed up. It wasn't until Q Who that I really fell in love with the character. And I have the same problems. Well, they went to a lot of trouble to establish the Q as being similar to the Metrons or the Husnuk or any other, or the Organians, where they were for all intents and purposes an ascended race that really had no use for corporeal beings anymore. And Q was the outlier. He was like, you assholes are boring as hell. I'm going to go fuck with the humans. And I've been good. I haven't dropped an F-bomb in 3 shows. But you're not wrong. You're not wrong. Q should bother me the same way the prophets and the Pa Wraiths and stuff do. But I guess it's just Delancey and of course the beloved Susie Plaxton won me over for that.
Does anyone think that they're going to toy with the idea of the prophets being a splinter of the Q continuum?
I think they could be like an anti-Q, like that. It could come to a head where Q gets whatever he's doing with Picard gets stopped by the prophets or whatever. I've heard rumors that there may be a character or characters from Deep Space Nine that may show up in Picard this season. One rumor is Avery Brooks, but I'll believe it when I see it.
I sincerely doubt it.
I will put down $50 right now and say Avery Brooks is
Rick,
not showing up.
Your track record and saying things won't happen is not very good right now.
Have I ever put money down? Avery Brooks is not going to show up on this show.
Yeah, like I said, I'll believe it when I see it, but I'll never say that something won't happen because I'll be proven wrong, but I'll believe it when I see it. I think it would be more likely to get Sirach Lofton to come back or something like that.
Everybody else on DS9 will absolutely jump at the chance, but Avery Brooks wants nothing more to do. He's retired. He doesn't. And I've heard he's having health problems, and he wants no, he's not coming back.
Now, what were you wanting to say about? You said something about Discovery a minute ago.
Just you mentioned Mass Effect,
yeah,
and apparently, I wouldn't know because I never played Mass Effect, but apparently the disco trailer used Mass Effect music, and
they've done that in a lot of stuff. I don't know how that they've managed to get. There's one track in particular from Mass Effect 3 that's in a lot of stuff. I believe that's the track they used, and immediately I go doing, but. Yeah.
Or is it that maybe is Mass Effect using open source music?
No, it was specifically written for the game. It's just been used in a lot of trailers and TV shows. And I mean, I saw a trailer for I can't remember the movie now, but they used it in the behind the scenes trailer, and I was like, what the hell? This is nothing to do with space. Nothing.
It may just be that it's cheap. It may be.
May be.
The owners have said, $10, it's yours.
Yeah, I have no idea, but whenever it pops up, I'm either giddy or like, what? Anyway,
that's like I found some just open source music that I used as the theme music for the first season when we did Simply Syndicated's Discovery After Show. I used it as the theme music for that. And sometimes I'll listen to a podcast and I'll hear that music as the theme music. I'm like, well,
okay.
Yeah, there's every now and then there was a show. One of the first podcasts I ever listened to was Geeks On.
Yeah, I love that
show.
show.
Y'all ever listen to Geeks On? But, they were all a bunch of film and video game makers out in LA, and they did a show for a couple of years, and then they all got too busy again. But their theme music, from what I gathered, because I heard it later, Mike Mould used it for the Doctor Who show on Simply Syndicated, Greatest Show in the Galaxy. And I guess it's just one of those ones that comes with GarageBand. It's just
something.
He's already there.
It's actually weird because one of the guys from Geeks On is actually a voice in the new Cyberpunk 2077 game. I was like, what the?
Yeah, and the main guy, his sister is Christina Hendricks, who was Mad Men and Firefly, and
now they didn't really release any news about Strange New Worlds, but
I don't think there is any news to release on that yet.
We did find out that Paramount is announcing that they will have a Star Trek movie that'll come out in 2023. And that's basically all the news.
We don't know who's all in it, which one it is. Nothing.
J.J. Abrams is doing it, so we know that.
What I read is that he's producing it. Doesn't mean he's directing it.
Right.
If I can borrow a phrase that you used 5 minutes ago, I'll believe it when I see it.
Right.
Well, this is Paramount actually announcing it this time. This isn't like Deadline says that this guy says that this guy says. This is Paramount saying it.
I believe that they think they want to. However, how many times have we seen Administration A at Studio B announces C, and then 6 months later, everybody's been fired, and a new group comes in and goes, "No, we're not doing that."
Well, yeah. I mean, that's how we got the Snyder Cut, basically.
when they're in post production and they announce that this is coming out and they have a release date, I'll believe it.
We also don't know
too many times on Star Trek movies.
With it being J.J. Abrams involved in it, I'm assuming that it's Kelvin timeline, but you know what a assuming does, you know.
If Abrams is involved, I'll be lucky to live long enough to see the goddamn movie.
Oh.
With Paramount and CBS now being reintegrated, it doesn't necessarily have to be Kelvin at all. And with Abrams being attached to it, if he's a producer, it doesn't necessarily mean much, because if it's Paramount making a Star Trek movie, then it's going to be made under the Skydance label, and Skydance is Abrams, which means as long as Skydance is making it, then J.J. Abrams is technically a producer. He could have literally zero to do with the movie itself, but they'll still say he's a producer because it's his company that's making it.
That's true. There's been a lot of movies that had Spielberg's name on them that he had little to do with other than writing a check.
Yeah, exactly. Produced by Steven Spielberg. That means he let them put his name in the credits.
He basically gave a thumbs up and said, cool. That's basically what he did.
I really hope that it's something new. I mean, we don't have to go back and revisit Kirk and Spock again. We don't have to do a movie version of where we recast everybody from the Next Generation or something like that. That we can create a new story that just takes place in the Star Trek universe or something like that. I don't want to see a movie that is the Khan prequel or anything like that. You know,
I was just going to pitch. They're going to give us a movie about the eugenics wars set in the 90s, and they're going to have Benedict Cumberbatch show up for a cameo in the last 2 minutes.
Well, Nick Meyer is still talking about doing a movie, about doing a Star Trek project that is not that
is not Khan. Yeah. The Khan thing was supposed to be a mini series for what was then CBS All Access, but it never happened, or it hasn't happened yet. But yeah, that's really all the news that there is that there's going to be a movie. It'll be 2 years from now, and J.J. Abrams is involved. That's it. So
I have a salt shaker over here that I'm holding every time I.
All right, everybody. Thank you for listening to us go on and on about this stuff. Hopefully you're as excited about some of this as we are. We'll be here to cover all of it just for you on that Star Trek podcast. I want to thank everybody for being here. Rick, thank you very much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Jen, thank you.
Yeah, even though my camera didn't work, thank you for having me as well.
And Scott, thank you as well.
Special guest appearance by my kitty.
How unusual.
Bye.
Who is Mike Hitty?
He's a cousin of a dude named Hunt.
In the meantime, check out more of what we have to offer with our other podcasts over on the website at infinitepotato.com. We also have a Facebook group and a Twitter page. Those links are on the website. Don't forget our Patreon. It's patreon.com/infinitepotato. Come and check that out. Be sure to listen to our next episode next week, which will be our review of Star Trek IV, The Voyage Home. Until then, take care and boldly go.